Good morning, everybody. I hope you're doing well. I just wanted to come at you and chat a little bit more about the idea of this reality being a simulation. I wrote something on this just a little bit yesterday. I didn't speak of because I got tied into the spell that I was weaving to try to inspire people and give them power. Um, but I'll do it now. The simulation won't break because it is not a simulation. We really are the only ones here. The speeches that convince you otherwise are just spies of your future. This is tied to expectations and reality not being aligned. The greatest source of despair and pain in the world and otherwise that I can muster, or not muster, but that I can imagine is having your expectations being elevated to the very highest level of what is possible. So, say for instance, you do something and you're going to become a billionaire, right? And the reality being absolutely horrible. The exact opposite of that is not necessarily being bankrupt or anything, not being in the negative $1 billion, but being in despair and in pain because you expect to be happy and joyous at being that wealthy. Um, of course, we know that money doesn't buy happiness. Yeah, we get that, yada, yada, yada. But not only are you in despair, but you genuinely don't get the money either. You don't get the wealth. Um, the carpet being pulled out from under you. You being whispered sweet nothings about the possibility of, or the prospects of a certain job, or the commissions that you'll earn doing something, and let's say that whatever commission you get, there's a 50 to 80% chance that the product you're selling will close. And you go through 20 meetings with people to try to sell the product and nobody closes because they don't trust you for some reason. The greatest source of pain and despair is when expectations don't meet reality. So where you can get in the middle of this and prevent that despair is realize that the world owes you nothing, so it will give you nothing, and you should expect nothing, and you just keep going nevertheless. I am trying to survive, to build something that actually has meaning, has value. And it seems like at every turn, I'm being blockaded somehow. Now we know that from ashes to ashes, from dust to dust, nothing here on this world, this material plane, other than the people actually matters. The structures aren't very important. The system itself is untenable and not important. The money that you can earn, the credibility is important. Credibility is important, but so you can sacrifice all of that if it is to save other people's lives, of course, and you should. But if you don't know that's what is happening, there's no way that you can be fulfilled through that. There's no way you can be fulfilled going through pain and despair and hopelessness if you don't know that what that's actually doing is saving lives. And 95% of the time, let's say it's not. But I'm trying to build something that actually has value, okay? I own real estate. I acquire real estate. I try to fix up properties. I try to beautify the world uh, so that I can have some tangible, positive benefit on the world. The ethereal, the intangible, is of course the love that you sow. And I do that every day with my family. I know that's the most important thing. But the outward expression of it, because this world is in such deep sin, does not manifest. It does not appear. I try to take care of myself physically, and my body pushes back against me in ways that I cannot control and I cannot repair. There's the potential that I have a certain disease that I can't do anything about, and that's why I can't run. I pray to God that I don't have it, that it's just some type of systemic issue that I can fix, but it looks like it possibly could be that. I have no control over that. There's nothing I can do about it that I currently know of. So when they say, at least you have your health, I'm starting to not even have that. And I do everything in my power to take care of myself. Work out 6 days per week. On average, about an hour and 50 minutes each session. Variable workouts. I do bench press, I do shoulder press, I do 21s, I do bike riding, I do row machine, I box, I do sword fighting, I do all sorts of stuff to try to take care of myself. I make sure it's variable. I modulate my workouts accordingly based upon how I feel and what I can handle, and yet my body is still pushing back against me. I take all the supplements that I can possibly discover that might help me. My blood flow, my strength, and they help, but they don't fix the issue. There are things that you don't have any control over, that despite your greatest efforts, you cannot push back against. That's where your choices are scarcely being honored. And who's going to step in to help you there? I don't know. But I can tell you that if there is going to be no outside force, just like I stepped in to help my mother and my father because they weren't going to get their turn, so I gave it to them forcibly. I wonder when I'm going to get a little bit of help. Because, like I said, at every turn, I keep facing the evil and moral depravity in the human soul. They won't leave me alone. Is there anyone out there that is willing to have the courage to give me aid? Surely life cannot be pure despair. And I'm not saying it is in my case, because despite the massive adversity I've had to face in my life, I still accomplished a lot. I did serve for 13 years in the military, 9 years active duty, 4 years at the Air Force Academy. Went to the Air Force Academy. I have a degree, master's degree in electrical engineering. Currently working on my second master's. These are things over which I had control. And I still had to put in massive effort to get these credentials. I'm a licensed life agent. I'm a pilot with 1,000 hours of experience. I've run 18 marathons with a PR of 2:51:23. I've run half a dozen or more half marathons with a PR of 1:18. Um, I have a lot of accomplishments. I've written 5 scientific papers. I've been published, and I have 20 apartment units out in a different state. So I've done a lot, but it's been through a tremendous effort on my part. And then there's a lot of pain that I've endured. The accomplishments I have attained have been through my efforts. The pain I have endured has been through the efforts of others to cause me pain. I wish it would be my turn where I could stop having to push so hard against this nonsense. And I know a lot of you are in the same boat. I mean, with this pandemic going on, a lot of you are kind of in a corner, feeling powerless just like me. But at the same time, that kind of mutes the distinction of the things that I cannot explain that have been happening in my life that are far worse, where you can see certain machinations of the world that are intentionally acting against you. And many people might actually be in on it. And because of that, you have nowhere to turn. No one to whom you can in whom you can confide, in whom you can trust, without the fear, without the specter that they may very well be playing a part in it, no matter how much they tell you that they're not. If you knew, for instance, everything that the military did to me while I was in it. I mean, I've got a long documentation of it. But that's only one part of it. I just want to be able to live my life. I want to be able to truly experience joy. I get joy through my own efforts. But I want to no longer be experiencing a parasite that is this world. I want to actually be given joy as well as to give it. To be a source of it for myself as well as receive it externally. Well, I might be able to keep myself going through an infinite well of joy because I know that I can find sources of it and I can build it. It certainly would make it a lot easier if I could get it externally. I don't know. But if I never do, it's not like I'm going to stop or anything. It's just exhausting and frustrating. That's all I got for today. Love you guys, no matter what. And I'm going to keep going, no matter what.